The story of the Jewish people starts a very long time ago. It begins in the land of Canaan, which we now call Israel and Palestine. Long ago, Jewish people believed they came from a man named Abraham. Abraham was very important to Jews. He was their first leader. Jewish people say Abraham lived over 3,000 years ago. The early Jewish people were called Israelites. They were not the only people who lived in Canaan. Many other groups lived there too, but the Israelites had their own beliefs and their own way of life. They believed in one God. This was different from many other people at that time. Most people believed in many gods, but the Israelites believed in only one. The Israelites slowly built small villages and towns. They had families, farms, and animals. They worked the land and grew food to eat. They created their own culture and traditions. Over many years, the Israelites became stronger and more organized. They united together under leaders called kings. The most famous kings were David and his son Solomon. King David was a great warrior. King Solomon was known for building a beautiful temple. This temple became the most important place for Jewish people. It was in a city called Jerusalem. The temple was where Jewish people came to pray to their God. The early Jewish people did not have a written religion at first, but over time they wrote down their beliefs and stories. These writings became what is now called the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament in the Bible. These books tell the stories of the Jewish people. They teach about their God and their laws. These writings are still very important to Jewish people today. Around 3,000 years ago, the Jewish people had built two kingdoms. One was called Israel in the north. The other was called Judah in the south. Both kingdoms had their own kings and cities. Both kingdoms believed in the same God, but many powerful empires wanted to take over these lands. The most powerful empire at that time was Assyria. In the year 720 BC, the Assyrians attacked the kingdom of Israel. They were very strong and had big armies. The people of Israel could not fight them. The Assyrians defeated Israel. They destroyed many cities. They took many people away and forced them to move other lands. This was called exile or captivity. Many of these people were lost to history. Some people call them the 10 lost tribes. The kingdom of Judah stayed free for a while longer, but about 130 years later, another big empire came. This was Babylon. Babylon was very strong too. In the year 586 BCE, the Babylonians attacked Jerusalem, the capital of Judah. They fought hard against the city. Finally, they won. The Babylonians destroyed the beautiful temple that King Solomon had built. This was a terrible time for the Jewish people. Many people died. Others were forced to go to Babylon as slaves. The people who went to Babylon were called exiles. They had to leave their homes and their land. They had to leave behind their families and their property. It was a sad and difficult time. But even in Babylon, the Jewish people did not forget who they were. They kept their faith. They kept their traditions alive. They taught their children about their God and their people. This exile was very important to Jewish history. It changed how Jewish people thought about themselves and their God. For almost 50 years, the Jewish people lived in Babylon as captives. Then something good happened. A new empire called Persia became more powerful than Babylon. In the year 539 BCE, the Persians conquered Babylon. The leader of Persia was a king named Cyrus the Great. Cyrus was different from other kings. He was kind to the people he ruled. He let people keep their religions and their customs. Cyrus made a special decision about the Jewish people. He said they could go back home. He said they could return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. This was wonderful news for the Jewish people. Many of them had lived in Babylon their whole lives. Some had never even seen their real homeland, but they were excited to return. The journey back was very long and hard. It took many weeks to travel from Babylon to Jerusalem. But when they arrived, they found that their city was broken and empty. The temple was destroyed. The walls of the city were knocked down. The Jewish people had to rebuild everything. It took many years of hard work, but the people were determined. They wanted their holy temple back. The Jewish people rebuilt the temple. It was not as beautiful as the old one, but it was important to have it again. This new temple became known as the Second Temple. Jewish people came together to pray and worship in this new temple. They also rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. A leader named Nehemiah helped them with this work. This time was important because the Jewish people learned something. They learned that they could keep their faith even when they were far from home. They learned that their God was with them everywhere. This belief became very strong in Judaism. It helped Jewish people survive hard times in the future. About 500 years after the Jewish people returned to Jerusalem, a new and very powerful empire came to the region. This was Rome. The Romans were strong and had big armies. Around the year 63 BCE, the Romans took control of Jerusalem and the land around it. At first, the Romans let Jewish people keep some of their freedom. But slowly, the Romans wanted more power and more control. The Jewish people did not like being ruled by Rome. They wanted to be free. There were many people who did not want to follow Roman laws. They wanted to fight for their freedom. Some Jewish leaders told people to rebel against Rome. This made the Romans angry. In the year 66 CE, there was a big war between the Jewish people and the Romans. This was called the First Jewish-Roman War. The war was very hard for the Jewish people. The Romans had more soldiers and better weapons. The Romans attacked Jerusalem. They surrounded the city with armies. The people inside the city had no way to escape. Finally, in the year 70 CE, the Romans broke through the walls. They destroyed the beautiful Second Temple. Many Jewish people died. Many others were taken away as slaves. After the Romans won, they changed the name of the land. They called it Syria Palestina instead of Judea. They wanted to erase the Jewish identity from the land. They also made Jewish people pay special taxes. But the Jewish people did not give up their religion and their culture. There were more wars between Jewish people and Romans, but the Jewish people could not win. The Romans were too strong. These wars were the beginning of what is called the Jewish diaspora. This word means spreading or scattering. After these wars, Jewish people moved to many different parts of the world. They left the land of their ancestors. This happened over many centuries. But the Jewish people kept their faith and traditions wherever they lived. After the wars with Rome, many Jewish people scattered throughout the Roman Empire. Some went to Egypt, some went to Greece, some went to Rome itself. Even though they lived in different places, these Jewish communities stayed connected to each other. They believed in the same God and followed the same laws. In Rome, Jewish communities grew. Jewish people did many different jobs. Some were poor, some were rich. Some worked as merchants and sold things. Some were workers and craftsmen. Some were teachers. They built places to pray called synagogues. In the synagogues, Jewish people gathered to read their holy books and to pray together. During this time, an important part of Judaism developed. Because the Second Temple was destroyed, Jewish people could not make the offerings that their ancestors made, so they had to find new ways to practice their religion. The most important way became studying and learning. Jewish leaders called rabbis taught people about their God and their laws. They explained what the holy books meant. They created new rules for how to live a Jewish life. These teachings became very important to Judaism. A group of rabbis in Babylon created a very important book called the Talmud. The Talmud is a collection of teachings and stories. It tells how Jewish people should live. It explains Jewish laws. The Talmud became almost as important as the Hebrew Bible. Even today, Jewish people study the Talmud. During this time, another new religion was starting. This was Christianity. At first, Christianity and Judaism were connected because Jesus was Jewish. But slowly they became different religions. Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire. As Christianity became more popular, the Roman government became less friendly to Jewish people. Laws were made against them. But Jewish people continued to believe in their God and follow their religion. They kept their communities strong even when times were difficult. For many hundreds of years, Jewish people lived in many different parts of Europe. They lived in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and other countries. In each place, they built communities. They built synagogues where they could pray. They had Jewish leaders who made laws for their community. Life was different in different places. In some places, Jewish people were treated better than in other places. In Spain, during the time when Muslims ruled, Jewish people had a very good life. This time was called the Golden Age of Jews in Spain. Jewish scholars and doctors were very famous. Poets wrote beautiful poetry in Hebrew. Jewish people worked in government and held important jobs. This was a time of learning and culture. But this good time ended when Christian rulers took over Spain. Then life became harder for Jewish people. In other parts of Europe, Jewish people faced many problems. Christian people sometimes blamed Jewish people for bad things that happened. People told lies about Jewish people. Sometimes Christian people attacked Jewish people and their communities. There were times when Jewish people were forced to move away from their homes and cities. One of the worst times was during the Crusades. The Crusades were religious wars. Christian armies wanted to fight against Muslims far away. But before they left, some of them attacked Jewish people who lived near them. They said Jewish people were enemies of Christianity. Thousands of Jewish people were killed. Jewish communities that had existed for hundreds of years were destroyed. In medieval Europe, Jewish people were not treated the same as Christian people. They had to live in special areas called ghettos. They could not do all the jobs that Christian people could do. They could not own farms or land in many places. But despite these problems, Jewish people survived. They kept their faith strong. They taught their children about their religion and their traditions. They created rich communities and cultures even in difficult times. In medieval Spain, the situation for Jewish people changed over time. For many years, Jewish people, Christian people, and Muslim people lived together. But slowly, things became harder. Christian rulers wanted everyone in Spain to follow Christian religion. They did not want other religions. In the year 1478, Catholic rulers created the Spanish Inquisition. The Inquisition was a court. Its job was to find people who did not follow the Catholic religion correctly. It had power to punish people. The Inquisition focused on Jewish people. Leaders of the Inquisition used torture to make people confess their beliefs. Some people were executed if they did not obey. Before the Inquisition, there were terrible attacks on Jewish people in Spain. In the year 1391, mobs attacked Jewish people in many cities. Thousands were killed. Many Jewish people were forced to convert to Christianity to save their lives. These Jewish people who converted were called conversos. But the Inquisition did not trust them. They thought many conversos still practiced Judaism in secret. Finally, in the year 1492, the Catholic kings Ferdinand and Isabella made a big decision. They signed a decree called the Alhambra Decree. This law said all Jewish people had to leave Spain. They had to leave within 4 months. They could go to other countries, or they could stay and convert to Christianity. Thousands of Jewish people had to leave their homes. Many had lived in Spain for hundreds of years, but they were forced to go. The Jewish people who left Spain were called Sephardic Jews. They went to many different countries. Some went to Portugal. Some went to North Africa. Some went to Turkey. Some went to other parts of Europe. They took their Spanish culture and language with them. Even today, Sephardic Jews remember Spain. They kept the Spanish language called Ladino. The expulsion from Spain was one of the saddest times in Jewish history. But it also showed the strength and courage of Jewish people. They survived and built new lives in other lands. About 300 years after the expulsion from Spain, a new movement started among Jewish people in Europe. This movement was called the Haskalah, or Jewish Enlightenment. It began in the late 1700s in Germany and other Central European countries. The leaders of this movement wanted Jewish people to change their way of life. They wanted Jewish people to learn about new ideas in science. They wanted Jewish people to learn the languages of the countries where they lived. Before this, many Jewish people spoke Hebrew and Yiddish. They mostly studied only religious books. The Haskalah wanted to change this. The leaders of the Haskalah believed that Jewish people should study science, history, and art. They believed Jewish people should read books that were not about religion. They believed Jewish people should become more like the Christian people around them. They wanted Jewish people to fit in better with European society. They called this assimilation. These new ideas made some Jewish people angry. The older rabbis thought these new ideas were dangerous. They believed that Jewish people should keep all their old traditions. They believed that studying secular subjects was wrong. There was disagreement between the traditional Jewish leaders and the followers of the Haskalah, but the Haskalah movement grew. It had a big effect on Judaism. Some Jewish communities started allowing women to go to school. Some started praying in the languages of their countries instead of only in Hebrew. The movement also led to the creation of Reform Judaism. Reform Judaism modernized Jewish practices for modern times. The Haskalah also helped create Zionism. Zionism was a movement to create a Jewish nation in the land of Israel. Some Jewish people believed that Jewish people should have their own country. They thought having their own country was the only way to be truly safe. This idea became more and more popular among Jewish people over time. In the 1930s, a very dark time came for Jewish people. A man named Adolf Hitler became the leader of Germany. Hitler believed that Jewish people were the cause of Germany's problems. This belief was wrong and evil, but Hitler convinced many German people to believe this lie. Hitler and his followers, called Nazis, passed many laws against Jewish people. These laws said Jewish people could not have certain jobs. They could not go to certain schools. They could not own businesses. Jewish people lost their rights as citizens. They were treated badly by German people. In 1938, Nazis attacked Jewish homes and businesses. Many Jewish people were hurt. Many were arrested and put in prison camps. In 1939, World War II started. Nazi Germany conquered many countries in Europe. As they took over these countries, they captured the Jewish people who lived there. Hitler had a terrible plan. He wanted to kill all the Jewish people in Europe. This plan was called the Final Solution. Nazi Germany built special camps called concentration camps and death camps. These camps were like prisons, but much worse. Jewish people were forced to go to these camps. They did not have food to eat. They did not have warm places to sleep. They had to do hard work. Many people died from hunger and disease. The Nazis also used gas chambers to kill people. This was the worst form of killing. Millions of Jewish people were murdered in these camps. More than 6 million Jewish people died in the Holocaust. This includes 1.5 million children. Entire families were killed. Whole communities were destroyed. It was the worst genocide in human history. Many Jewish people did survive the Holocaust. After the war ended in 1945, survivors had to rebuild their lives. Many had lost everything. Many had lost their families. But Jewish people showed great courage and strength. They helped each other. They created new communities. The Holocaust is remembered as a terrible warning about how evil hatred can be. After the Holocaust, many Jewish people and world leaders believed that Jewish people needed their own country. For almost 2,000 years, Jewish people had lived in many different countries, but they did not have their own nation. Now the world agreed that they needed one. The land where the ancient Jewish people had lived was called Palestine. After World War I, this land was controlled by Britain. In 1947, the United Nations voted to create a Jewish state in this land. Not everyone was happy about this decision. The Arab people who lived in Palestine opposed it, but the United Nations decision went forward. On May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was created. Jewish leaders declared that Israel was now a free and independent country. David Ben-Gurion was the first leader of Israel. Jewish people from all over the world could now come to live in Israel. Many Holocaust survivors went to Israel to start new lives. They wanted to live in a country where they were safe and could govern themselves. But the creation of Israel also caused conflict. Arab countries nearby did not accept the new country. They attacked Israel many times. There have been many wars in the region. Even today, there are disagreements between Israel and some Arab countries. But Israel has survived and grown. Israel has become an important nation. Today, there are about 14 to 15 million Jewish people in the world. About 6 to 7 million live in Israel. Others live in the United States, Europe, Latin America, and other parts of the world. Jewish people have different ways of practicing Judaism. Some are Orthodox and follow traditional rules. Some are reform and practice in modern ways. Some are conservative and are between the other two. But all Jewish people share a common history and culture. Jewish people have survived many difficult times. They have been expelled from countries. They have been persecuted. They have faced genocide. But they have always survived. They have kept their faith, their culture, and their traditions alive for thousands of years. Today, Jewish people work for peace and justice in the world. The history of the Jewish people is a story of survival, courage, and hope.